They charged me with resisting arrest.
Get that confidence in jail.
I object.
Good morning, fellow patriots, and welcome back to another episode of Allegedly Bravo. I'm Cash.
And I'm Lauren.
It's been a minute. And I know we say that every single time.
I know. People are like, no, bitch, it's been a week.
I can't remember the last time we recorded, though, for the main. Oh, we did a debriefing.
Yeah, we
did a debrief.
It's been 2 weeks.
We've been pumping out a lot on our Patreon.
Mm-hmm. You guys have to go over to Patreon, join our Patreon. If you're a patron for $5 or more a month, you get bonus episodes. Cash did her own because I was unavailable this week to do one. And when I tell you, I was rolling laughing. Like, you're so funny. I don't even know why I show up.
It was so hard. I have like a blooper reel of like my first 3 intros that I recorded.
Yeah.
And I had to stop. Well, because Grizz was barking in the background of most of them, but
yeah.
It's so hard talking to yourself.
It's so weird too, because at least when we're doing it together, like I can see you, we're on Zoom. So it's like less weird to like have a microphone in front of you. But when it's you by yourself, just looking at your computer, like talking to yourself, it feels like a little psychotic.
And I was home alone.
Oh God. Yeah. Your dog was probably like, can someone come get this lady? She needs to be like held down.
Well, and where I record in my office, the window is looking out onto the sidewalk into our condo complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how many times people have walked by, looked in the window and thought to themselves, what is this woman doing?
I always think that too, like with our neighbors, you can see into my office and see like all my posters hanging up, like with all my rules written down and everything. Like, I feel like they must think like something weird happens in that house.
Yeah.
And the answer is, yeah, a lot of weird things happen in these houses.
And we're proud of it, you know?
Yeah.
We're not we've said this a million times before. We're not your conventional, attorneys that are out here giving you the breakdowns. We're trying to we're a little kooky.
We're a little kooky. We're a little fun. So fucking buckle up. And if you want to be bored, go listen to NPR.
You guys, and speaking of kooky and fun, so on the Patreon, if you listen to that episode, we talked about a story about Miss Jennifer Shaw. And I felt the need that I could not tell it without the presence of Lauren.
I still I had to stop myself from doing something about it last night.
Yeah. So you guys, just for a little bit of background, we did a merch drop last week with hats with Jen Shaw legal team, Erica Jane legal team. Allegedly Bravo's my lawyer, like super cute.
So cute. I'm obsessed.
They're so cute. And so we posted them onto our stories. We posted them onto our Instagram page, and we tagged Jen Shaw, Lisa Barlow.
Yeah. Whoever was in their hat, because it's like, we're using your words. Like, we're going to credit you.
And so do you want to tell the listeners what happened?
Okay. So here we are, like posting our hats, and like Cash and I are like, okay, yeah, like good drop. Like, we'll move on to the next one, XYZ. And all of a sudden we get a message, and it's from Jennifer Shaw.
What? And it's the middle of the day, like on a Tuesday.
It's the middle of the day, and Cash and I are just like chit-chatting about like the hats, and all of a sudden we get a DM from Jennifer fucking Shaw, and we got Jen Shaw.
We got scammed.
We got scammed.
We got scammed.
And it's like, I have been sitting here thinking to myself, like, I really hope Jen has a smoking gun. I really hope Jen has a smoking gun that just makes it so that she's absolutely not guilty of all these crimes that are alleged against her. But I will tell you, in my opinion, the government's got a good case, and we're going to tell you why. Read it, bitch.
Okay, so you guys, we get a message from her, and Lauren had actually sent a message to her with the post and said, hey, Jen, we would love to send you a hat if you would like one. She liked that message.
Mm-hmm.
She then responds and says, that's nice of you. Thank you. I'm actually ordering these for my team. LOL, with an okay, like hand gesture.
Emoji, yeah.
emoji. We said, oh my gosh, that's so cool of you. We are rooting for you. Let us know if you need anything. We need a pic in that hat. She's like, I'll send you a pic. I'm ordering 8 of them. Do you think I can get them next week by Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
And we said it should be there in 6 days, and we can always try to expedite if we can.
Yeah.
And that message was seen.
Which is the most hurtful, I think.
Did the order ever come through?
The order never came through. And so here I will say, I've been scammed by Jen Shah. Allegedly, Bravo has been scammed by Jen Shah. I've been scammed. Cash has been scammed. The collective, we have been scammed by Jen Shah.
We the people.
And now it's like, you know what? The full circleness of this whole entire thing. Like, the reason we started this podcast was because Jen Shah was being a scam artist. And here we are a year later getting scammed by the scam artist herself.
And you know that we are just so gullible.
Because I called everyone.
You best believe I was on the phone with my fiance telling him Jen Shah just ordered 8 hats. And that was presumptive, of us.
I called my grandmother at her old folks' home.
We had people Googling who is Jen Shah to show them how important this was for us.
My dad and my mom were both like, wow, actually so proud of us. Like, they were like, forget law school, like, so happy for you.
So happy for you, know that I am. And it didn't happen, but I think the light at the end of the tunnel is that we had a fun story to tell. And you know what hurt though, actually the most is that we've talked about this a lot. I talked about this a lot on the Patreon is you guys know, was so hard on Jen Shah when the allegations first dropped. But then this season, she's really warmed up to me and I really like her.
I like Jen Shah, but not anymore. I've changed my mind. I
really like her. There's something likable about her. She's funny. She throws shade. She's personable. And so there was just this.
Never meet your heroes is really the moral of the story. Never meet them. Not that she was our hero, but she was going to buy 8 hats. And for a small female run business, that's amazing.
That's incredible.
That would have generated a lot of revenue for allegedly Bravo.
Yeah. And, it hurt. But anyways, we got a good story out of it. And you know what? Maybe the government will call us as witnesses for the trial.
Yeah, because they'll be like, have you ever been scammed by Jen Shah? And I'm going to say, fuck yeah, I have. Not just me, but me, my best friend, and hundreds of listeners. There are dozens of us.
Yeah. And you guys, recently we did find out that we are the number 55 true crime podcast in Poland.
Oh my God. Shout out to Poland. By the way, majorly praying and just thinking of everybody on that side of the world. Like, holy shit, the stuff that's going on in Ukraine is obviously terrifying.
Yeah. And we just want to send anybody out that's, send prayers and thoughts to our Eastern European patriots that are listening. We stand with you. We are here for you. If there's anything we can
do, let us know.
Yeah. Message us. And I know that anybody else that's listening, I think it's a bipartisan issue that we can all get around.
Oh yeah. This is no longer political. Yeah. This is humanitarian.
Yeah. And so, Lauren and I are going to definitely have to rethink our Poland international tour that we were going to go on.
I mean, I'm so excited. I was ready to eat some blood sausage, and
it was very Joy Behar of me. Yeah. Did you see that?
No. What'd you do?
Oh my God. No. Did you see the clip where Whoopi Goldberg on The View was talking about the crisis that is going on in Ukraine, and Joy Behar makes a comment about how frustrating it is because, she has this Italian vacation planned and because of COVID, it's been postponed and now she might not be able to go. You guys, I'm in
shock.
I invite you to go. I invite you to go watch the clip. It is so insufferable. It's almost as bad as the clip that you sent me of that.
The Annalyn McCord doing the prayer or whatever the poem. If I was your mother, Vladimir Putin. Ugh.
You guys, there was this actress that went on Twitter and gave this very intense dramatic reading monologue of if she were the mother of Vladimir Putin, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
It's like, why are we all making this? Like, why are celebrities making this about themselves? Like, Joy, no one cares that you can't go on your Italian vacation.
It's like, and of all the people who don't care, I guarantee you it's those of us watching your show.
Yeah, like none of us have been on a vacation in 2.5 years.
Yeah, that like aren't going to fucking Italy.
Anyways.
Okay.
Segue. Do you want to introduce the topic we are discussing today?
Yes. Myself and every patron that we have on Patreon have voted. And we've decided that this week we are taking Kim Richards and we're cracking her open and we're just going to get a good look inside. Like, what is fucking happening over there? And we're not just talking about drunk at the hotel Kim Richards.
No.
We're getting into the
depths.
fat burger.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it.
We're getting to the meat.
We're going to talk about the husband. There.
You mean, yeah. You mean her daughter's husband.
Yeah. But I'm also going to talk about every other husband that our friend Kim has had. So I love Kim. Like, I'm a Kim stan. Here's the deal. My brother and I have always said, like, I'm the Kyle, he's the Kim. Like, I'm the one who's always freaking out about his bad decisions.
Very accurate.
The one always making bad decisions. Like, that's just how the cookie crumbles. So I have a kindred heart to the Richards family. So Kim and Kyle were both born to Kathy Dugan and Kenneth Edwin Richards. And I don't like the name Edwin. And I'm so sorry for anyone who's named Edwin that's listening, but I just don't like it. I think Teddy's husband ruined it for me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you realized you connected the two. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's like weird. Okay. So,
that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I know. Hey, listen, it's my first weekend off.
Yeah.
Really, in so long. So I'm having a full glass of Aperol Spritz, and I don't take any responsibility for anything said on this podcast this week.
Yeah, and I'm drinking an iced coffee, so I'll just try to make sure I rein you in.
Yeah, you be the rainer-inner. I'm going to be whatever I want today.
Okay.
Okay.
You live your truth.
I'm going to live my truth. So last night when I was up till 4 a.m. because the world is ending, I started reading a new book called The House of Hilton. And it was so... Are you okay?
Oh,
it was really eye-opening.
We're 15 minutes in and
the sauce is flowing.
Sauce is flowing.
The House of Hilton was honestly, like, I'm only probably 25% of the way done, but I learned.
Who wrote the book?
Somebody named last name Oppenheimer.
Okay, so it hasn't been green lighted by the Hilton fam.
I don't know, because whenever I downloaded it, it did have the names of other Hiltons, but Jerry Oppenheimer, his name was on the front cover. So I don't know if it was like a story about name. I don't know. I didn't download this in a way that was like
legal, appropriate.
Okay. So I have this book now. And I was reading all about how Kathy, it was really mainly about Kathy because it goes into the Hilton stuff, but Kathy and Kim and Kyle obviously share a mom named Big Kathy. And oh my God, Big Kathy seemed to have been a complete, I don't even know what the word is, like madam. Oh. Is that the word? Like when you are
a lady of the night?
A lady of the night, but like the mother of the night. Like, allegedly, because I've never met this woman, word on the street is that Kathy was like, you will marry rich and you will have babies with rich men. And that was her rules for her kids. Like, Big Kathy taught Kathy, Kim, and Kyle like how to give proper blowjobs. And
so she was kind of, like the pimp.
And apparently...
Sorry. I thought you were insinuating that Kathy was out on the town being somewhat of a.
She was, yeah, she was definitely being
okay.
a freak on the streets, which like
Okay.
we love. But
Yeah.
she was also being like this matchmaker of like Hollywood elite. So there was
matchmaker, make me a match.
match. It's like it's what's that lady from Millionaire Matchmaker? Millionaire Matchmaker who? It was Big Kathy in the day. She set up everybody with everyone, and everyone thought like, oh, Kathy for sure is a madam. Like she is running a brothel. Okay.
I mean, she did well.
She did do well, but I guess so Kathy Hilton and was the result of a one-night stand in the back of a car. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't either. And when Kathy was born to the mom, Big Kathy took little Kathy and was like, deuces, back of the van, and was like, we're going to be rich. And then ended up doing whatever, ended up with Kenneth Edwin Richards and having Kyle and Kim. So
I didn't know that Kathy had a different dad.
Yes, she has a different dad that I think they met in high school. I want to say Big Kathy and Kathy's father, but Kathy's bio dad, they've never had a relationship. Like once that was over, that was just over. So while Big Kathy is raising Kim and Kyle and little Kathy to be like little celebrity, like girls that are like marrying rich men and, you know, just getting their way through Hollywood, which is when Kim starts getting all those jobs, like working on Little House on the Prairie and like a nanny show and some show, the movie Escape to Witch Mountain. So she lives her life as a child star, Miss Kim Richards, after a crazy sexual upbringing. So she starts dating now and she starts marrying Monty. You know Monty? Remember Monty? Yeah. He was having cancer. So
he passed away.
He passed away, exactly. So Monty was the heir of a supermarket franchise. Unsure which one, but I'm going to guess like Stater Brothers or something.
Don't guess.
Don't guess. Okay. So a supermarket franchise heir turned professional poker player. And he had him and Kim had a baby named Brooke, who we will get to. Brooke turned Brooke Wiederhorn. So they get divorced, and then Kim marries a new guy named Greg Davis. And they have 2 children, Whitney Nicole Davis and Chad. Okay, Greg Davis is the huge heir of like some petroleum company.
I didn't know that Kim's ex-husbands were this successful.
This is like the product of allegedly Big Kathy's raising of these girls. Like you will be marrying oil money.
I wonder what their the kids' trust funds look like.
Yeah, I do too, especially with like this guy, petroleum heir.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after Greg Davis and petroleum heir and Kim broke up, she started dating a guy named John J. Collette. And they had one daughter together, which is that little one who was, oh no, they didn't have any kids together. I'm sorry. No. So, okay, I'm sorry. So John J. Collette was her boyfriend that she was dating. And he was like involved in this huge criminal scheme. Like talk about Jen Shaw. He scammed over 8,000 elderly people out of over $150 million. By like selling partnerships and like oil and gas leases to like all these old people, which is like fucked up. Like these people like just get all their money and they want to retire and like die peacefully. And he scams them out of all this money, you know? Well, what ended up happening, how they ended up not dating anymore, is that John was executed by a hitman.
Whoa.
He was shot twice in the back of the head while on the phone with Kim Richards.
Okay. Why are we not getting these storylines when
I
Kim was
don't
on?
know. It's like, I don't care there was wine in your coffee cup. We all have wine in our coffee cup, Kim.
Okay, do you think Kim's coming back this season or will be a friend of? And do you think she'll start opening up about these stories?
I think she should, but like after hearing about this stuff, it's like, no fucking wonder.
Yeah.
Like, this is so traumatizing. Like, you're on the phone with your boyfriend. He's standing in front of a deli. I wonder what they're talking about. Like, I wonder, like, was she like, I want the turkey on rye with provolone? You know what I mean? And then he's shot in the back of the head and she didn't know what was going on. Like, she was just like, huh. So she calls the deli and she's like, have you seen my boyfriend? Like, he's a nice looking guy. He was just in front of the deli. Well, she had to go ID the body at the coroner's office.
That's rough.
So rough. And after all the evidence was presented in court, they said, listen, this was a hitman. Like, this murder was done by hitmen. However, no evidence of who this hitman was ever like, or who ordered the hit. None of that evidence was ever brought out. So to this day, we don't know who wanted this John guy dead. I'm sure if we Googled a little harder, it would come up, but I just have a problem Googling the mob, you know?
Yeah, in this day and age with cybersecurity, you know, and the Russians.
I'm just not going to risk it. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
So then she moves on and she dates and marries an aircraft supplier named John Jackson, which is the opposite of Jack Johnson, the singer.
I'm assuming there's no trust fund with this child.
Well, there might be because he supplies aircraft parts. Like, that's kind of huge. They have the daughter named Kimberly. Now, Kimberly's middle name is Colette, which I think is weird. So she named the daughter with this new guy, John, the middle name of the ex who was murdered on the phone. Huh. Do you know how they met? Because this to me is crazy, how Kim and John met. So Kim and, you know, Kim's man just died. So he has all this like estate that needs to be dispersed to whoever. And apparently some guy wanted to buy a Harley Davidson from the estate. So the mother of the dead guy goes, listen, you need to call Kim because that was his girlfriend and that was her favorite motorcycle. So like, you'll have to work that out with her. Mm-hmm. He calls Kim, they fall in love, they have a kid. I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Then she had a 6-year hidden relationship with a guy named Win Katz.
Oh, is that the guy that was on the Beverly Hills? Remember when they go to Hawaii?
No, that guy she met in like AA.
That was so dark.
Didn't he leave? Didn't he leave early?
He was like verbally abusive, allegedly. Except for, I don't know if it's alleged because I think it was on screen. Like, I think
it was just straight up bad.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like Kim had a wild dating history.
She did, and I really feel like everything about Kim makes sense. Like when you find out that like her mom like really kind of like bred and groomed her to be this like child star who was marrying moguls and like having kids with all of them. And like, I'm sorry, but to be on the phone with someone who dies and then having to identify their body is like, I can't imagine anything worse.
I don't know why, but this Kathy, like big Kathy, Kathy Hilton, Kim Richards, Kyle Richards, of it all reminds me of the movie Heartbreakers with Sigourney Weaver and Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yes.
Where the mom like primes the daughter to be just this like sex pot who goes after these rich men.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I bet there's some sort of like connection there.
I mean, her family's, the kids are all doing very well. So, I mean, besides Kim, because we're now going to move into her troubled past. And I say past, I mean, the last 6 years, really, because it really started to happen. I feel like her run-ins with the law really started to happen once she was fired from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or stopped appearing, I guess. which coincides with her substance abuse issue. So on April 15th, 2015, she was arrested for trespassing, public intoxication, resisting an officer, and battery on a police officer at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I don't know why I always call it the Hilton.
I know, it's because there's a Beverly Hills Hilton like on the same street. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Hotel. So
it's like, we get it. You're a fucking city. You don't have to name everything after it.
So she was removed from the Polo Lounge around 1:30 a.m. because she was lit. She was transported to the station to be booked. And allegedly during that time, that's when she assaulted the police officer and kicked him in the leg.
So Luann.
Very Luann. She was required to complete 450 hours of community service. And, those charges aren't like really that.
I mean, come on. I think they're just had to like, I feel like they had to like give her something just because it was on.
Well, the part yeah. So the trespassing, clearly they probably, this is my interpretation. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that she was so drunk when she was at the Beverly Hills Hotel. They told her to leave. Mm-hmm. She left and then came back because the trespassing, there had to have been some type of verbal or written communication between the hotel and her telling her she can't be there.
Now, could they have told her while she was still on the property, you're not allowed to be here. You're no longer a guest.
Yeah.
And then call it trespassing, or does she actually have to leave?
I'm trying to think. I don't know the elements of trespassing in front of me, but
oh my God, it's somewhere on one of these walls.
I think that if they told her you're no longer welcome here, you need to leave. At that point, it's a verbal command to like get the fuck out the property.
Have you ever been to that hotel?
Yes. I actually have an interesting story. So I used to babysit for, I've mentioned this before. I used to babysit for these like rich oil tycoons.
Kim's ex.
No. And I used to nanny for them and nanny their kids. And we went up to LA so the owner of this property, this huge resort, could pick out napkins at the LA market, I guess.
Oh my God. The garment market.
Yeah. So I had to nanny the kids. We stayed at the Sofitel.
Oh, Sofitel. Yeah.
I think the Sofitel or something. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And then we went to the Beverly Hills Hotel for lunch, and we sat there, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there.
Oh my God.
And a bunch of other people were there. Yeah, we sat outside and just had brunch.
Okay, my brother used to work there, and
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so when we got to go, like it was so fun because it felt like just so like bougie, like they knew us, even though it's because he was the employee.
That's the wine opener I use all the time.
Me too. I do have to say, I did get a wine opener at the gift store, which it was like a $30 wine key, by the way. Like it was outrageous. But I tell you, I keep it in my purse. Like it's the best wine key ever. Mm-hmm. Like I love it.
Love.
But their salads they are so good. They cut up the lettuce and everything so little that everything fits on your fork.
So little. Bougie.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, August 12th. Oh my God. I can't read. August 2nd, 2015. She's arrested for shoplifting at the San Fernando Valley Target. She shoplifts around $600 worth of goods. I mean,
okay, that's not that hard at Target. Like we've all been to Target for a roll of toilet paper and left spending $600.
Yeah. Like a roll of toilet paper, a side table, and some tampons. You're there.
Yeah, exactly.
You're there. So I don't really know the outcome of that case, but I'm sure it was probably diverted some way and she wasn't.
I mean,
we are
$600, like, I'm sorry, $600, I feel like it's so dumb. Like,
it's a misdemeanor.
Give the money back and let's all move on.
You're drunk. So I think the next one we're about to talk about is what people remember the most is Kingsley the dog.
Kingsley I have to say, like, when he was on that show, like, I had such a special place in my heart for Kingsley. Like, do you remember in law school, my friend Liz? She was obsessed with Kingsley. Like Kingsley was the star of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills during this time. However, he had a bit of a temper.
He had a bit of a temper. He bit a lot of people. So the first incident was between Kingsley and Kay Rosario. She had asked the court for $1 million worth of damages as a result of an attack. She was only awarded $8,000, which makes sense. You're really not going to get much. Yeah. And then another incident was, this is alleged, was from March 2014.
That's the same lady.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the same lady.
Yeah. Sorry. I split it up weird. Sorry.
This is the same lady. So allegedly this is what happened. So Kay was staying at Kim's house. She allegedly didn't know that Kim had a dog, but when she found out, Kim was like, oh, don't worry. Kingsley's so sweet. He's nice. Like, you can pet him, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, Kingsley jumped up from the bed and attacked Kay, causing an injury to her hand, arms, and backs. She fell backwards and was bleeding. And that's when Kay's daughter came in and yelled at Kim and said, we need to call 911. And Kim's like, please, please, please don't call anyone. And as a dog owner, obviously you don't want to involve the authorities, because the moment that you do that, they have to take a report and it turns into an incident.
Did you see the photos?
No, I don't need to see the photos.
It's disgusting.
No, I don't need to see the photos.
You don't need to see the photos. It's like seeing the photos of the McDonald's crotch lady. It's something you don't need to see. You guys just know it's bad. We should do an episode on that.
If you've never seen those photos, we had to watch it in torts.
Yes, that was the best documentary I've ever seen.
It's so good, but they show you the photos, and when people are like, oh, the lady she just spilled, it wasn't a big deal. You guys, her skin was peeling off.
She had to get a skin graft.
I think at one point you can see her bone, or like you see.
Yes, through her vagina, you could see her fucking pelvic bone. Like, I'm sorry, but that's hot coffee.
Yeah. So,
which is the name of the documentary. Yeah. And I really encourage you to watch it. It's called Hot Coffee.
Brief segue. So then we have another incident with Kingsley and the assistant. So Paige Sanderson is Kim's former employee that was bit by Kingsley on April 9th, 2016. This was at Kyle's house. And so this is alleged that the dog lunged at her, bit her, held onto her lower abdomen and crotch, tearing off her leggings and underwear and ripping off portions of her flesh. And if you look at all of these incidents, like, he's biting in the same kind of region, like the hands, the back, the stomach, the crotch area.
I really am uncomfortable with the ripping of the crotch. Yeah. And I feel like there was a better word to use in the legal pleading. And I just have to say,
pelvic region.
If I ever just get my crotch ripped off by a dog, for God's sakes, do not write that in the pleading. Call it a cooter, call it anything else, but don't call it a crotch.
Yeah.
Crotches just seem itchy, like in and of themselves, An
interesting part of this lawsuit is that the assistant joined Kyle into the lawsuit because it was her house.
Yeah.
Eventually it was dismissed because Kyle was dismissed because she had no knowledge that the dog even lived there.
Yeah, because Kim was like renting the house or whatever.
Yeah.
Her goddamn house.
So then there's the another incident involving Kingsley and a neighbor. The lady sued Kim for damages, about $250 plus worth of damages. She was only awarded $865. And
she was awarded both of that. She was awarded. She was awarded a lot.
Oh, so she was awarded the $266,000 in damages and the $865.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fact that this, and look, we are dog lovers in this family. Dog lovers. And I don't think a dog should be euthanized unless there is a consistent level of aggression there's no other way of addressing it. And here we have 3 women that have already been attacked. And then the worst,
attacked to the point of lawsuits, like
lawsuits, stitches, medical costs.
These are the dog bites we know about.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and think how many times Kim was probably bit.
think about like I have this friend who had a dog that was a biter like this, like, and you know, very sweet dog. Like when it was a one-on-one situation, like the dog was the best. But the second another person came in the room, the dog would bite, even if it was a child.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And I watched the dog bite a baby on the hand, like just crazy shit. And so I'm just thinking like,
I remember this. Yeah.
Like
you had to dog sat it.
Yeah. And that's when I experienced like one of the most traumatic nights of my life.
You experienced a dog.
I literally experienced a dog bite like this. And I have to say like $266,000 in damage would have been nice.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the most notable dog attack by Kingsley, which is sad that that's even a thing, is when Kyle's second daughter was attacked by Kingsley and she needed reconstructive surgery and physical therapy, because this was a storyline on Beverly Hills. Didn't they like kind of dance around the topic? Like it was
like Kim couldn't understand why anyone was mad at her. And it was like, because your dog ate a child's hand. So that's like not good.
And there was the infamous quote where she said, Kim, my daughter almost lost her hand. It infected the bone. Why do you think she was at Cedar Sinai for 5 days? How do you think I feel? Do you know that Alexi had an IV with a bag for 3 weeks?
3 fucking weeks of an IV. Do you know how catatonic I would have to be to deal with that?
Ew. Oh, so I went to high school with a girl who had got a staph infection.
Oh my God.
In her thumb. I don't remember what it was. But I don't know what caused it. I don't know if she went and got a manicure or something, but she had to walk around with an IV bag for weeks attached to her thumb because it was so bad. Because
that's awful.
It's like the same thing where it gets infected to the bone. And Kingsley was put down, right?
Unclear. I really couldn't research the rest of it because it's like, I want to think of Kingsley as a reformed man.
Okay, that's like saying Putin
I know.
Can be reformed. It's not happening.
Sorry, Kingsley. R.I.P. Probably.
Yeah. So then moving on, just to close that portion out, just of the dog bites, Kim's also dealt with some unpaid tax issues.
I can't stand rich people who don't pay their taxes. It's like, pay your taxes. We do it.
Yeah.
We do it out of our fucking savings account. You can do it.
Yeah. So she had unpaid taxes in 2013 at $52,000. In 2014, again, she had about $66,000.
That's over. Is that $1 million? How much is that?
That's over 100,000, Lauren.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I hope I pass the bar.
And she also had, just to close out Kim Richards' lawsuits, she also had an issue with her unpaid ghostwriter that she didn't pay. And ironically, the name is Allison Kingsley Baker.
Isn't that insane?
We got
maybe
another.
It was the dog. Maybe the dog was like, actually, I need pain and suffering. This is all because of you, lady. You didn't feed me for weeks while you were strung out.
And so Allison Kingsley Baker sued Kim Richards for about $10,000. And I'm really unclear what she wrote.
Yeah, it's like, what were you ghostwriting for? Like, I don't see a memoir. Maybe it was a book that was supposed to take off, and then maybe it was her tagline. I mean, 10 grand's like nothing.
I know. Yeah, that's actually.
You know, like I wouldn't write a book for $10,000. Are you kidding?
Oh my God. That's so funny. That is so funny. Okay. So that's just like a little brief background on Kim Richards. And so now we're going to move on to really what everyone I feel like is tuning in to hear is
the
fat burger.
The meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes, the fat burger of it all, because this story broke recently. And
I'm in shock, really.
It's wild.
Okay, so let's just talk about the fact that Fatburger is at literally every single party Kyle Richards has ever had on TV. There's always a fat burger pop-up tent.
And I've never noticed that before.
Oh, it's all I noticed because she's always fucking eating cheeseburgers. And I always thought it was insane that they had those food at a white party. I just would have picked a different food item. I don't know. I'm also just like a little weird about that. Like I would pick all white food, like something cool. I don't know.
And what all
ice
white
cream,
food?
snow cones, white cotton candy, ranch dressing fountains, like, things like that. Yeah. Things like that. Uncut jams. Things like that.
Oh my God. I talked about that in the Patreon.
Oh, that was the best.
So
Uncut
funny.
jams.
Okay. So tell us about how Fat Burger is connected to the Richards Hilton family.
Yeah. So Farrah, the daughter of Kyle, dated one of these people. Their last names are the Wiederhorns. Okay. So the Fat Burger people are the Wiederhorns. So Farrah dated a guy named Kyle. Might as well be Kyle. Taylor Wiederhorn. And this was like, 5 years ago. Like now Farrah's like married to someone else or like engaged or whatever. Well, Kim's daughter, Brooke, ended up dating and marrying Taylor's twin brother, Thayer Wiederhorn. So they got married at Kathy Richards' house, which is like it looked like a beach house in Mexico. It was really cool. So apparently though, Kim was so wasted at this wedding that the sober coach that she brought fucking quit in the middle of this whole trip. Yeah. So the Fat Burger truck was obviously at this big wedding between Richards royalty and Wiederhorn royalty. Which is such a tongue twister.
Okay, so Kim Richards' daughter, Brooke, marries Thayer.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad of Thayer's, his name is Andrew Wiederhorn.
Uh-huh.
So he's this just like mogul, right?
Yeah.
He's the CEO of the
cheeseburger mogul.
So he's the CEO of the company that owns Fat Burger and Johnny Rockets restaurant chains.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting point here is that maybe many of us who are not privy to the Wiederhorn family would be shocked to find out that they're being investigated for these allegations of fraud. But we're here to break it down because in 2004, Andrew Wiederhorn pled guilty in the U.S. District Court in Oregon to charges of paying an illegal gratuity to an associate and filing a false tax return.
I mean,
you guys, he spent 15 months in federal prison and had to pay a $2 million fine. And the most interesting part about this is so the company that he worked for at the time, the day he pled guilty, the company he was in charge of, its name was Fog Cutter Capital, which is so weird.
Fog Cutter
Capital.
God,
they
just
awarded
consult one person about that name.
They awarded him $2 million in bonuses and agreed to keep paying him during his incarceration. When have you ever heard of that?
That's ridiculous.
And so after he was released so he served his time, he paid his fine. And so after he was eventually released from federal prison, he and his family go on this like major PR campaign to try to salvage their family's reputation. And so he goes on Undercover Boss at one of the Fat Burger restaurants in Arizona. And during it, he's saying, hey, look, like I've always adamantly denied allegations that were brought against me. Like I never intentionally engaged in this alleged conduct. And, I've done my time, I paid the fine, and I'm just here to move on.
Right. And one thing I found weird about that statement, though, is he mentioned in that statement that he was thankful for the experience.
Yeah. And so the reason why we're starting off with this is because I had no idea that somebody who has been previously charged for alleged fraud can then become a CEO of another company and be a majority shareholder in that company, and people not second guess it, you know?
That's like where I get so mad.
Because in 2021, did you see that the shareholders actually filed a lawsuit against him and against Fatburger?
Yeah.
So this like kind of kicks off, I'm assuming, with the FBI's investigation. And so the lawsuit was filed against Fat Brands in Delaware by an accused Wiederhorn of looting the company and bleeding it of its cash. The suit referenced loans issued to him that were later forgiven, and numerous members of Wiederhorn's family who were on the payroll earning six figures.
That's insane. So he just had all kinds of people like, oh, I work for Fatburger. I'll make, and six figures is minimum. They're making minimum $100,000 a year.
Minimum. And so Brooke's husband, I would assume, is on, I mean, we'll find out later, but I'm assuming one of those that is receiving a six-figure salary. So,
well, it was all six of his children, his mother, Patrick Wiederhorn's, or whatever the fuck, Andrew Wiederhorn's mother, the household employees, his ex-wife, and others. So here's where I'll give him a little cred. So nice of you to continue caring for your ex-wife when so many don't. But also like fraud, not good.
But there's no proof that they were on the payroll. It's that the people you mentioned had access to the credit cards. I don't know if they were necessarily on the payroll.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into the allegations that they're being investigated for. And I want to make that clear. No charges have been filed at this time with regard to the FBI raiding the Wiederhorn's property.
And Brooke's name
is not mentioned.
No, this is, so when we're remembering all of this, like, don't even think that Brooke's name is mentioned in this. She just lives at the house.
Yeah. So the allegations are the family's being investigated into allegations of securities and wire fraud, money laundering, and attempted tax evasion. So the LA Times, most of this information has been brought forward by the LA Times in their investigation, and they gained access to the affidavit that had been filed with the court. And so the affidavit states that there's probable cause that the Wiederhorns engaged in tax offenses, misrepresentation to investors, and fraud offenses relating to personal expenses that the Wiederhorns caused Fat Brand to pay.
Okay. So they're like basically just sending their credit card bills to Fatburger and being like, "Head off, bitch."
And do you want to get into some of the expenses that they racked up?
These expenses like give me the chills. Like, as a gal who's had her credit card declined at a grocery store, like, this is upsetting.
Yeah. Remember when we were at Costco?
I was just telling my sister about this. Cash and I went to Costco and we loaded up. Like, we were using her mom's membership and we went shopping, like, up and down every aisle, like, loaded everything onto the conveyor belt. And then we get to like the part where the lady scans the membership and she goes, "Your membership's expired." And we were like, "No, it's not. It's her mom's membership."
Yeah.
Turns out your mom canceled it because she's like, "Nobody lives at home anymore. It's just me." We had to leave everything on the conveyor belt and walk out of Costco with our tail between our legs.
And it led to a huge blowout between me and my mom.
In the Costco parking lot.
Where
you've had a car stolen before.
You guys.
I can't believe that. Costco is a big part of your life.
Costco is a huge part of our life. And ironically, we used to defend them in lawsuits. And so my mom and I, on Father's Day, decided to go to Costco to get some ribs and just, like, do a little grocery shopping. Our family, we have French bulldogs. We were going to bring our French bulldog Tank, but it was a little too warm. So we decided to leave him at home. And at the time, my mom had an F-350 that was bright red with a shell on the back of it.
Okay.
So a very
it's a noticeable car.
Yeah,
it's big.
And it's a big car. So when we pulled into the Costco parking lot, obviously everybody that's been to a Costco knows that the parking lot is packed. So my mom just like automatically goes to the back corner because she knows we'll find a spot. We park the car, get out, go do our shopping. And then I'll never forget, we were in the shampoo aisle and I made a comment about whether or not I needed to buy the shampoo. And there was a man who was kind of like lingering around us. And he made a comment to me about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And then we took our shopping cart and walked towards the checkout. And I watched this man walk by the checkout out through the exit without buying anything. And I thought, that's weird.
The same guy who chit-chatted about shampoo.
Yes. And so then my mom and I check out. We're walking to the back of the parking lot. And do you ever park your car and you're like, wait, did I park it in this aisle?
And you're going around tooting the horn, like trying to play Marco Polo. Yeah.
So my mom and I are playing Marco Polo. My mom's looking for the car and then I'm looking for the car. And finally I say something to her. I was like, Mom, where's the truck? And she's like, I
thought you had it.
No, she said, I thought I was losing my mom's like, my mom thought she was having like an Alzheimer moment. She's like, I thought I forgot where we parked. You guys, car was stolen.
Holy shit.
We called the police and the police were like, we've been having a problem with this Costco parking lot where these trucks are being stolen. Because we lived in San Diego at the time. And so they basically the guy, what the cops told us is that they watched us the moment that we got out of the car. They had somebody in the parking lot that was getting ready to steal the truck. And then that man that was inside Costco was following us.
To make sure that you were not at the car or going
Exactly.
Holy shit.
And so they say that these thieves, they just take the truck and they like have a shop around the corner or a shop in the area, like a chop shop, and they just park it inside or they just take off and it's on its way to Mexico.
How did you get all that shit home?
So the Costco employees were so kind to us. They took all of our groceries and they put them in the refrigerated section of the store. They came out and gave us water. We had to wait for my dad to come pick us up.
Oh my God.
But the reason why I brought our French bulldog up is because we almost had our dog in the car.
Can you imagine?
No.
I would have murdered somebody if my pet were missing. I would literally go insane.
And what people don't realize, like when your car is stolen, like they have your registration with our address on it. They had like
everything you've ever left in the car.
Yeah. And my mom's a runner. And so she had like her really nice running sunglasses in there. We had water bottles. We had her watch was in there, running shoes, like all of that. And they never found it.
Yeah.
Brazen thieves.
Yeah. So speaking of brazen thieves, these brazen thieves.
Okay, get back on track. So tell us where were they spending this money?
Okay. Can you imagine? Like my nipples are hard thinking about it. $183,000 at a jewelry store.
Yeah, but that's like a bracelet.
But I was going to say, like, they better have gotten more than one thing. Here's the deal. I would be upset if my man spent almost 200 grand and I only got one thing. I would be mad. I mean, maybe I'm just like a little bitch, but I really would want more than one item. Right. It's like, here's the bauble barley. Okay. $150,000 for a down payment to Rolls Royce. All this ended up getting paid back by Fat Brands. $100,000 to a divorce attorney, which makes me question. Yeah. Like, okay. And then this is the part that brings Brooke into it. They allege that Mr. Patrick Wiederhorn, with the help of Thayer Wiederhorn, Brooke,
I thought his name was Andrew Wiederhorn.
What did I call him?
Patrick.
Oh, why do I keep wanting to call him Patrick?
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Daddy Wiederhorn, and son Wiederhorn had this whole scheme going on where allegedly Daddy Wiederhorn would transfer like lots of money from his American Express card via PayPal to Thayer Wiederhorn in an effort to like get a bunch of American Express points, you know, because it's like every dollar you spend, you get whatever. Allegedly, Daddy Wiederhorn funneled over $9 million through PayPal in American Express like credit card, like through, so that he got all those credit card points.
Yeah. And I think he only acquired like $25,000, right?
I mean, whatever it is, it's like, I'm sorry, but if you're able to funnel $9 million through PayPal, like you can afford your vacation.
Yeah. And this is something that actually happens a lot. We knew of somebody that worked in the public sector who was responsible for buying and paying or charging and booking hotels, right? And they would use the company card or the county card to buy the hotels, rightfully so, but then would use their like Hilton Honor Reward program to acquire the points that would accumulate from the purchases. And then they would use those points to go on vacations. And that person lost their job. So
yikes.
Just like if you're thinking about like, I'm going to outsmart the system, like if you're not outsmarting the system, you're inviting the feds to investigate you or the local police investigate you, you know?
And it's like, it's just something that like,
it's not worth it.
You don't want to have that. Like, I'm sorry, but if a cop ever knocked on my door, I would be so mad. Like, get out. No, we're not doing crimes. We're not doing times.
But the fact though, that they're trying to hustle to make the money for the amount to recoup costs that
through fucking PayPal. Like, I'm sorry, but not to take a page out of Anna Delvey's book, but are you poor?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I know. Yeah. It's very, very interesting. And so the FBI tabulated the cost to be about, $25,000 in fees, right? And they're calling it what is called a round trip. So it's like this corporate scheme to acquire money for like no legitimate purpose, right?
Like funnel the money from business to personal
back to business
so that you just benefit.
Other allegations Wiederhorn's been facing are related to tax returns. And so there's this allegation that he filed a false tax return citing discrepancies between his loan applications and what he was making versus, you know, what his actual income was. And so in a 2018 tax return, he listed his income at $403,000. In 2017, his income at $395,000. But then if you look at an application that he had applied for a car loan and a home that he purchased, he reported his earnings at $200,000 per month.
Yeah.
Or
so
about
it's like
$2.4 million. He's lying and misrepresenting his income.
Just for it to benefit him. Like on taxes, it's lower, but on loans, it's higher.
It's higher. Exactly. Yeah. And so I guess though he has like $3 million in personal taxes that he owes to the IRS.
And he's like, oh, but I'm on a payment plan. Like, don't worry. And it's like, I feel like the IRS and the federal government would have had a conversation.
Yeah.
Before they were like, can you give us $3 million? But you know, maybe they haven't. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And
it just seems crazy.
There's just like a lot of corporate greed that's happening. And he's stealing from the company to pay to really like provide this lavish lifestyle for his family members. And I think there was an allegation in that LA Times article that said between October of 2017 to May of 2019, he spent about $5 million from the company.
That's insane.
And just to cover the cost of like the Wiederhorn's credit card expenses of those people that you listed, like his employees, his household employees, his ex-wife, his children. They're just out there swiping. They're going to Restoration Hardware. They're buying.
Let's talk about where they're spending their money, because I read Dolce & Gabbana, Giorgio Armani and Restoration Hardware. And like, as a girl with no money, all I could think of is new money. Am I right? Like, come on.
I
like
know.
Restoration Hardware, like maybe go to Christie's and then we'll have a conversation about where your money is going. Like fucking Restoration Hardware, like any old Joe can get that shit if they have a big enough credit card limit, you know?
Yeah. Or if you're shopping at the outlets, you know?
Exactly. Like chill out. Like you're not going to the Louvre.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to the raid. That brings us forward to the raid that happened in December. And this is where Thayer and Brooke's house, their Beverly Grove home, was raided by federal agents. And during the raid, agents took phones, digital storage devices, tax documents, and other documents. The interesting thing, though, is that they did not raid Andrew Wiederhorn's house.
Yeah, I do find that odd.
But I guess it sounds like they did do surveillance on him. They were watching his property for quite some time. They were watching him walk his dog. And so they're doing like a mass surveillance on him.
Maybe they're waiting for something crazy then, because it's like, I'm sorry, but like walking your dog, like let's follow him to wherever he's going.
But I'm wondering, though, because of Andrew Wiederhorn's past experience and running with the law, if he's using Thayer as his pawn. And so Thayer's the one who is the not the mastermind, but is the one who
will take the fall,
is going to have to take the fall for it. And
wow,
that's why
dirty.
Most of the information has been stored at their house. Or maybe Thayer is just like a little version of his daddy and, you know, is practicing unsafe spending.
I love that.
But Wiederhorn has categorically denied the recent allegations. He's adamant that the loans he had applied for are completely legitimate and were independently reviewed and approved. And he also is saying that his tax returns were prepared and approved by an independent tax professional and have been making payments under a agreement that he has with the IRS. And it's like, look, you may have had an independent person check it out, but that doesn't mean that you're not lying about it.
Well,
you know?
And it's like, okay, sure. An independent person checked it out. Great. Most of people have like a business person will likely have their tax returns prepared by someone else.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you're the fucking one who signed it.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter what the other person did. Like you got to review it and be like, this looks weird. I think I made a little more than $200,000.
And who's to say your independent tax person is not in on the scheme as well?
I mean, listen, coming from family law, they're all in on the scheme. The tax returns, everybody knows that your tax returns are filed to benefit you.
Yes.
In some way.
So as of right now, the status of the charges remain kind of unknown. We don't know if the federal prosecutors are working on building their case and they're going to be filing charges. No idea. But right now it's in the investigatory phase. So TBD, but I really feel for Brooke and her family because she has children with this man.
Yeah.
And it's very like Teresa Giudice, where you trust your husband and his spending, very Erica and Tom Girardi.
Well, allegedly, we don't have her side of the story. Like maybe her and Daddy O were like, I'm not going to speculate here on her liability, but maybe she was in on it.
Maybe she was in on it.
I'm kidding. She probably wasn't.
Let's do criminal behaviors.
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first because mine's very short because Lauren does have a dramatic reading for her criminal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
My criminal behavior is just, living with a man, you guys, can be really hard. Okay.
It's so hard.
And something that just really sets me off is when they go into the cabinets, they eat a snack and they leave it open. Like if you're going to open the bag of chips, roll it back up and close it. Yeah, no, the leaving the snacks open is offensive to me because it's like, I just went grocery shopping. I just spent all of this time and all of this money and you are going to disrespect our snacks.
Our fucking snacks. This is the one thing we have going for our household right now.
Anyways, that's it.
That's insane. I'm so sorry. I agree with you. Fucking close the snacks. Like it's not that hard. I keep an entire jar of chip clips on the counter. So there is no excuse. if you don't clip the chip,
Yeah.
like it's just your fault. Like you have to eat stale chips.
Okay, now moving on.
Okay, so this is my criminal behavior, and I'm going to say this. It starts in the month of August. Blanket trigger warning, sexual assault. However, I will just say that in this experience, my criminal behavior is not only lying people, but also improper credentialing. Okay. So here's where it starts. And this is about me. And this is my police report from the vet. Okay. PB House told me, that's me, that she took her 2 cats to the blank yesterday. She waited in the clinic room for her 2 cats to be seen for their allergies. At approximately 15:30 hours, Dr. Vet, first of all, are you a vet and a doctor or no?
Yeah.
That's not med school.
Yeah, but you're considered a doctor of veterinarian.
I just feel like they should have said PB House, comma, ESQ then, or something. You know what I mean? Like comma JD. Like if you're gonna, let's accolade everybody. Okay. Doctor entered the room alone to see her cats and closed the door. He was able to evaluate one, but the other was too scared and she had to put it back in her carrier. Doctor asked her to get her first cat out again after she inquired about getting the cat anxiety medication. Doctor told her that he had to listen to the cat's heart due to his age. The cat is 6. Okay. And this is anxiety medication that the cat has been on. The cat was on the exam table and she, meaning me, was standing up next to it, the exam table, and holding the cat for the doctor. Doctor was standing next to Lauren on her left side, examining the cat, which she said was scared but under control. And I will say, Lexi was scared yet under control. As doctor examined the cat, he kept getting closer and closer to Lauren and eventually had his right chest area pressed up against her upper arm chest area. She was unable to back away or move due to the fact that her right side of her body was pressed up against the wall and a chair was behind her legs. Lauren told me as the doctor was listening to her cat's lungs with the stethoscope, he placed his right arm around the back of her and began rubbing her lower back and right hip area above her buttocks with his open right hand on the outside of her clothing. She said he rubbed her lower back and right hip area in a circular motion with his hand for less than 5 seconds. As he did this, she told Doctor, "Get the fuck off of me," and pushed him away from her. Doctor told her sorry and then placed his right hand on her left shoulder and squeezed approximately 5 times as if he was massaging her shoulder. Doctor told her they would be back with the pet's medication and left the room. After waiting, an unknown veterinary tech brought Lauren the medication. Lauren said that she told the vet technician that she felt the doctor touched her inappropriately and the technician apologized. The technician told Lauren that the technician felt doctor was a very touchy person as he has touched technician on her shoulder in the past, and technician thought that doctor was just trying to be friendly. It's so gross. Lauren told me doctor did not say anything as he was leaning up to her or touching her back. She never made any inappropriate comments or compliments during the examination. During the visit, Lauren, was wearing a sweatshirt and leggings. And I will say, I was wearing my pink, allegedly Bravo sweatshirt and black leggings with pearls on the bottom. Okay, Lauren noticed doctor looking at her chest area several times, but she thought he may have been looking at the graphic on the front of her sweatshirt. Give us a follow at allegedlybravo.com.
Buy yourself a sweatshirt. Buy
yourself a sweatshirt. They're so cute. Cash is wearing one right now. Lauren felt doctor pressing up against her with her chest, touching her lower right hip, and it was inappropriate and unprofessional. She believed it was intentional and that he was doing it in a sexual manner. Lauren told me that doctor never touched her buttocks, breast, or genital area during the incident. Lauren said she didn't notice if Dr. had an erection during the visit. Lauren said she felt very uncomfortable during the incident and decided to come to the police after talking with her family. Lauren told me she was not aware of any surveillance cameras in the room. I provided Lauren with a report number and she left the lobby. Okay. So if you don't notice, this is about the time I took my cat to the vet and the vet started inappropriately rubbing my body in a corner, up and down. So, Cash, would you like to play the part of the doctor?
I will be playing the vet and I will be providing a dramatic reading of his statement and his account of what occurred. Vet told me he recalled the visit with Lauren and did not touch her inappropriately. He said Lauren was, in quotes, heavy set. And
I'm shook. I cannot get fucking past that.
Lauren, you remember me telling you that it's like my worst nightmare being described in a police report as fat?
Cash, I literally was described in a police report as
fat.
heavy set. And obviously I wasn't assaulted because of my size.
So he says Lauren was heavy set, and when she was in the way, he pushed her back a little bit. He said he was not trying to grab her as the cat was running around and he went to the other side of the table. He said that Lauren never said anything during the incident and they never apologized to each other.
Why would I apologize to him?
He said one of her cats was acting wildly and they had to put the cat away several times without completing the exam. He said Lauren had to help him control the cat and they were bumping into each other as they were next to each other. He said he could not recall putting his hands on her, and if he did, it was an accident and not for any sexual purpose. He said if there were any contact between them, it was incidental and they were both trying to control the cat. The officer asked the doctor if he ever put his arm around her or rubbed her back, and he said that he did not. Okay. So the vet then is obviously surprised, as it was the first time he was hearing about these allegations. He said he never touched her in any sexual way. He said if Lauren felt it was inappropriate, he apologizes. The officer then asked the doctor if there were any surveillance cameras in the exam room, and he said there were not. He said they usually have a technician in the room to help, but they did not because they are currently short-staffed. The doctor told the officer that he had been a veterinarian for approximately 10 years and was working at the location for approximately 5. He said he had never had any similar allegations against him in the past.
Okay. As the person who was there, I just will say, when you assault someone, like, let's not victim blame, but I guess we're never going to get over that. But if you have ever been in a situation where somebody touches you inappropriately, I encourage you to say something, even though it is truly the hardest thing you will ever do. I remember when this happened, I opened the door. Yeah, I opened the door to the room that I was in because my mom was sitting in the lobby and I was like, I'm not going to be behind a closed door with this freak. I opened the door so that my mom could see in, and I was told that I had to keep it closed, all this stuff. I went to the police officers. I obviously gave a report, and they asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I want to press charges. Okay, so the hard thing about this stuff, that is why this is my criminal behavior, is after I said I'd press charges or whatever, or I wanted to press charges, the DA reviewed the police report and said, this is very he said, she said, and so we're not going to prosecute this. From a legal standpoint, I can understand the difficulty in prosecuting this case, because it is he said, she said, and there's no evidence. After I gave this police report and I posted on this doctor's Yelp page, I have had an overwhelming, to me, number of women who have commented on my post, and even one woman who messaged me directly and said that she had a similar weird experience with this doctor and she didn't know what to do about it. And while it's really annoying to read that there's allegedly no way that this man assaulted me because I'm fat, Like, I just know that like me giving the story and like telling the police this and reporting it to the board, like, while I probably won't have any justice, like for what happened to me, like there's a report now. And if that girl goes back, like the girl who messaged me and said she had a weird moment with him, if she goes back, like this is documented. And so I encourage you, even though it's so hurtful to feel like you're not believed, and it's hurtful to be asked, what were you wearing when this took place? Like, are you sure he did this? Like, did he have a boner? Like all this stuff, like it sucks. And you don't want to be like, no, well, no, he didn't have a boner. And then the people are like, oh, well, then he obviously wasn't doing it for sexual. Like, it doesn't even matter, because just getting the report out there, like, will help the next person.
Yeah. And I remember when you called me and told me about this incident, and I encouraged you to make a police report because, and I told you from a former prosecutor's perspective, based on the allegations or based on what had occurred, it was very unlikely that charges were going to be brought against him because of the minimal amount of evidence. But it is so deeply important when these incidents occur that you create a paper trail, because like you said, although you may not see any outcome, or this man may not be held accountable because of what happened with you, if he ever touches another woman, or if there's another police report, all of this is documented and it is evidence that can be used against him in a trial. And it is so very important that we as women start documenting instances like this, because I've had a similar situation happen, and I actually deeply regret never filing a police report. My friend and I were working at a tanning salon, and there was this man that came in and was like very flirtatious with all of the girls and stuff. And he asked me to come into the tanning bedroom with him to show him how to operate the bed, which was not abnormal, because it was like this really like technical bed. It was really cool. And when I went in there, I bent down and I was touching the machine, and I looked back, and he had opened up his robe and he was exposed, and he had a boner.
Oh my God. That's fucking disgusting.
And the girl I was working with, her dad was a police officer, and actually ironically was across the street at Starbucks. And so we called him, and he came over, and he actually confronted the man. He was off duty. And I don't know why we never filed a police report, but I wish I did, because this man, I later found out that this man had a habit of sitting in the parking lot and would masturbate next to women in his car. And I wish that I would have gone back and I would have filed the police report, because had the police ever caught him again doing that,
would have been there.
Yeah, he would be a sexual offender. He would have to be registered as a sex offender. And I carried that guilt with me. And so that's why when you told me what happened, it's so important to take it upon yourself to do this. And you can't take it personal when the officers are asking you these questions, because they're just trying to gather evidence,
it is fucking hurtful just because something bad happened to you. But also, Cash, like you just said that like you regret not doing that and like all this stuff. And I just want to say, like, you did nothing wrong by not filing the police report. Of course, it would help everybody else after you, but that man did the bad thing. And like attributing any blame for anything by yourself, like, I think it's totally, I get what you're saying. Like, you regret like not filing the police report and like helping the next person.
And this man was married with kids.
I mean,
and you know what's nuts, you guys? Like, this is fucking crazy, is that I don't think I realized how gross and reprehensible that behavior was really until the whole Me Too movement came out, when people started really sharing stories of like weird incidences with men and being like, yeah, this happened to me. And I remember my boyfriend at the time was like, what?
Yeah.
It was my fiance at the time, was livid.
Yeah. I mean,
livid. And like your George Glass.
Oh.
Well, and the problem with the behavior too of that vet is like he's touching you in areas like he's not intentionally touching your breast or not intentionally just touching your genital area because he's feeling the water.
Well, and the other thing is like, I wasn't at the doctor. I was at the vet.
Yeah.
There is no point in which that person or anyone who worked there needed to touch me. I wasn't having a medical emergency. Also, the cat wasn't running around. Like, obviously, the connotation with cats is that they're wild, but this cat was like not wild.
Did you see though in the police report how he doesn't deny touching you? He says, if I did touch her, it was an accident.
And that we didn't apologize to each other. Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you're right.
He's giving it validation and he's recognizing, yes, that he touched you.
I did it. Yeah.
But he's denying that it's an interesting thing that a lot of people do when they give confessions.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of outright denying it. Because if it didn't happen, it didn't happen.
Right.
But instead he's just saying, oh yeah, we may have touched.
Yeah, maybe, but it wasn't to be sexual.
You know, and the sad part is too, from the police officer's perspective, is I bet he truly believed you and he knew that had happened, but his hands were tied. And that's something I feel like that's really difficult for police officers, is seeing these incidents occur and there's really not a lot they can do.
Well, I talked to the investigator because, you know, the investigator at the DA's office, like, goes over this, like, you know, this better than anyone. And then like presents it, I guess, to the DA to like, I think they're recommending whether to charge it or not.
Yeah.
So the investigator called me and she was a woman and we were talking about it. And she was telling me about how hard this is to prosecute and all this stuff. And she said, like, I know this is insane. Like, this is crazy. But she's like, there's no video proof. And I said, so what do you want like us to do? Like, should us as women be going around wearing body cams like cops do? And she's like, I totally understand what you're saying. And she's like, this is hard. It's so hard to tell you what I'm telling you.
I've had cases that I've prosecuted, I've had multiple cases where I've had to call the victim, just like what you went through, and tell the victim that we can't press charges and we can't pursue charges for X, Y, and Z reasons. But I've also had to handle cases that were charged for domestic violence. And it was the husband punched the wife in the face. There were no witnesses, very minimal injuries, just slight redness. The victim has gotten up and testified. And because there's no corroborating evidence, the defendant is acquitted. And that is a very difficult part of the job, because
it's beyond, like, I can't imagine being on the giving end of it, because I won't lie, like, I definitely pressed back on the investigator, like, well, like, what the hell? Like, no woman walks around in a body cam, like, so no woman will ever be able to have like an inappropriate touching in a closed room with a man ever prosecuted. Like,
it's because we as a society, in terms of taking that case to trial, we have become so used to seeing, or we've become like, people want to see, as jurors, they want to see some type of injury. They want to see some type of evidence. We've started to question and doubt people's their word.
It's like, oh, you were only touched, like, it's not that bad, like, you weren't bleeding or this or that.
Well, and in this day and age of technology too, a lot of people, and a lot of times this is an issue that we've dealt with jurors, is why isn't this videotaped? Like, why is this not on camera? Why can't I see it? Like, you didn't pull your phone out?
So I will say though, like, after this experience, I will never be alone in a room with a man without video cameraing it. I swear to God, ever.
And you never should. And it's an interesting practice though. I know that the vet said that they were short staffed, which is hard to believe, but professionally, I've never been in a situation in a room alone. I mean, unless your doctor is a male, but a lot of times a nurse practitioner
is always
come
in.
Yeah. And especially like for the physical portion, yes, but you should never, you always recommend and always ask to keep the door open or cracked.
Yes. And the red flag was when I cracked the door and I was told not to.
Exactly. And 99.9% of men who are in these fields are extremely professional and not engaging in this behavior. But
right. I mean, obviously
you don't know them.
Right. We don't know these people, and you have to protect yourself, because I'm like actually kind of feisty and like a strong person who will stand up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if like my grandma were in there or something, like I just think of all the people who like just take their sick dog to the vet, or their sick cat. It's like, you're vulnerable. Yeah. So anyway, this guy's a fucking asshole. My criminal behavior is don't be a fucking predator. And also, like, I will read you for filth on the internet. And I will be posting this on my personal website. And I won't give you guys the name. Like, I'll definitely redact it. But if you live anywhere where I used to live in Southern California, don't go to a vet on Chapman Avenue. That's all I'm going to say.
And we'll be back next week.
So you guys, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for being on this wild roller coaster of a conversation.
I know.
That's going to be 2 hours long.
I know. Oopsies. Sorry.
Oopsies. But don't forget, you guys. Well, first of all, thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. Go like and subscribe our podcast on Apple, iTunes.
Leave us a good review.
Spotify.
Please.
Leave us a good review. You guys don't realize how much it means to us. It's so important. It helps promote our podcasts and it helps us grow as a brand. I mean, we can go on other people's podcasts and just expand. And it's always fun to hear what you guys think.
Yeah. When it's
positive.
Nice.
When it's nice.
Yeah.
Don't forget to follow us at Allegedly Bravo on Instagram. Don't forget to check out our website. Don't forget to buy some merch. Get that Jen Shaw legal team hat.
Yes. Retained by Lisa Barlow.
Be one of her 6 attorneys.
Yes.
And my favorite is that Allegedly Bravo's my lawyer.
Me too.
That's
Me too.
mine.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just did the plugs.
I know. I'm so proud of you. I loved it.
Wow.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.